Good evening and welcome to our channel, Fall Asleep to History. Tonight, we're getting into the fascinating world of ancient Egypt. As always, let me know where in the world you're listening from. And thank you for joining me tonight as we journey softly through time, back to one of the most extraordinary chapters in human history, into a land where time moves like water, the kingdom of the Nile. But tonight there will be no battles, no grand conquests, no loud stories of kings. Only stillness, only warmth, only the steady hum of a river that has never stopped flowing. Take a slow, gentle breath in and let it drift out again. Make yourself comfortable. Let your body loosen. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your thoughts slow. Let the pace of the modern world fade into the distance. It is early morning, thousands of years ago. Before the sun has risen, the world glows faintly blue. The river lies calm and endless, its surface like a mirror, reflecting the shapes of palms and reeds that sway softly in the breeze. In the hush you can hear the distant cry of ibis birds, the soft trickle of water against the shore. And then, from the eastern horizon, the first glimmer of gold touches the sand. The sun climbs slowly, gracefully, like the god Ra returning from his nightly voyage. Under its light, the entire valley awakens. Farmers rise from simple huts of mud, brick. Bare feet touch the cool earth. Children run to the river's edge to watch the fish ripple near the surface. The Nile shines like liquid sunlight, and life begins again. For the people of Egypt, the Nile is everything. It is the breath of the land, the pulse that turns desert into paradise. Every year, when the snow melts far to the south in the highlands of Africa, the river swells. It rises gently at first, then overflows its banks with quiet patience. The water carries a soft, fertile mud, dark and rich as life itself, and spreads it across the valley. When the flood recedes, it leaves behind new soil, ready for seed and harvest. This rhythm, this eternal heartbeat, is what the Egyptians call the inundation. To them, it is not only a season, it is a miracle, a promise that the gods still watch over them. And as you listen to the soft rush of unseen water, even now, across so many millennia, you can still feel that rhythm. The stillness, the gratitude, the steady gift of the Nile beyond the green banks. The desert stretches endlessly, a golden sea without sound. The air wavers above dunes, shimmering under the weight of the sun. And yet, between these two worlds, the fertile and the barren, life flourishes. Date palms rise tall against the sky. Papyrus reeds wave along the edges of canals. Lotus flowers unfold slowly upon the water, their petals white and pink, turning toward the light. At night, when the stars appear by the thousands, their reflections shimmer across the river's skin. Many who lived here believed that when they looked into those waters, they were gazing into another world, the world of the gods mirrored beneath their own days in the valley. Move at a pace as slow and gentle as the current. The people rise with the sun and rest when its light fades. Every hour holds its own quiet task. In the fields, men and women bend to the earth, working together with simple tools, sharpened sticks, wooden ploughs drawn by oxen. Their laughter drifts across the open fields. Children chase each other through the dust, their small hands clutching wild flowers and palm fronds. At midday, the air grows hot, heavy, still. The sound of insects fills the silence, and for a while the world seems to pause. Then, as evening draws near, they gather to eat and talk and rest by the water, watching the sun slip down behind the western desert, where they believe the spirits of the dead wait for the cool light of the moon. The Egyptians live by stories, not of fear, but of balance. Each dawn they believe that the sun, God Ra, sails his golden boat across the sky to bring light to the world. Each night he journeys deep into the underworld, facing darkness and danger, only to rise morning after morning in a promise renewed. For them, the universe itself breathes. The Nile flows because the world must flow. The stars move because order must be kept. And it is in that cosmic rhythm, that endless cycle of day and night, flood and drought, birth and return, that their peace is found. Now the day softens into twilight. The river glows under the orange sky. Smoke curls from small fires where families prepare their evening meal. Soon music begins, the hollow beat of drums, the soft notes of reed flutes. Neighbors greet one another, sharing bread, figs, and laughter. In the distance, temple bells sound, calling the priests and priestesses to their quiet prayers. A cool breeze rises from the east, carrying the scent of silt and jasmine. The sun dips lower, its reflection stretching across the surface of the water like a path of gold leading into the dark. It is a beautiful silence, a silence filled with life, and as the stars take their places, the Nile sleeps again, peaceful in its endless flow. You are floating in the rhythm of this river. Its calmness is your calmness, its timelessness, your shelter. Now rest for a moment here. As the night settles over ancient Egypt, we drift into the villages and daily life. The night lingers softly above the valley, and as you rest here in stillness, the first gentle light of dawn begins to touch the world once more. We rise now, slowly and silently, to explore the heart of this land, not in the shadow of kings, but among the people themselves, whose steady hands and faithful routines built the rhythm of Egypt's eternity. Picture small clusters of houses woven along the river's green banks. The walls are made of baked mud bricks, smooth and warm to the touch. White linen hangs in open doorways to catch the morning breeze. Inside, the rooms are simple and clean. There are baskets of grain, small clay lamps, and hose of clear water carried from the river before sunrise. Roosters call somewhere in the distance, the same cry heard for thousands of years. And before long, the sound of human life joins in, soft voices, wooden doors opening, the hush of sandals on dust. The village awakens at the edge of the fields. Farmers walk slowly towards the rising sun. They carry woven baskets of seed, oxen wait, patient and silent. The soil still holds traces of moisture from the recent flood. It is dark, cool and ready. With practiced care, hands scatter grain in elegant rhythm, each movement part of a dance passed from parent to child for generations. The men sing as they work, steady half, whispered melodies to keep their pace with the swing of their arms. The push of the plough song blends with wind and bird song until the whole valley hums like a single voice. In the village, women kneel beside the ovens, their fingers working smooth brown dough into round loaves. The smell of baking bread fills the narrow streets. Children carry small clay pots to fetch water, their chatter echoing off the walls. Elders sit outside in the shade, spinning flax threads into fine linen. Everything flows together quietly. No rush, no strain. Only the movement of daily life. As dependable as the river itself, homes are sacred spaces, not grand, but peaceful. A family's life takes place around the courtyard. There are jars of olives, bowls of salt and honey, and tools carefully hung along the walls. Each morning begins with gratitude, a simple bow toward the rising sun, a soft whisper of thanks for the flood, for the bread that will soon be shared. Children play with clay animals, molded by their parents. Their laughter bounces against the stone. A cat weaves softly between their legs, sleek, calm, treated not as a pet, but as a guardian spirit. The Egyptians hold deep affection for animals. Dogs for protection, cats for grace, ibises and hawks for the gods whose forms they echo. Even the smallest lives are part of the harmony. By mid-morning, the craftsmen work. The potter shapes the spinning clay, his hands firm yet gentle, the wheel turning beneath his foot in a slow, steady rhythm. Each vessel takes on life under his touch, its surface smoothed with water, its form balanced between art and necessity. Next door, a woodworker fits reeds into a chair's frame, weaving them tight until they sing with tension. Metal workers heat copper in small furnaces, the flame flickering gold on their faces. The scent of hot metal mingles with the sweetness of date syrup, boiling nearby. Every workshop hums quietly. Each sound, the tap of a hammer, the sweep of a brush over plaster, is another note in the song of the city. In a shaded corner near the temple, young scribes sit cross-legged with reed pens and scrolls. Their teacher, calm and patient, guides them through the shapes of letters, curls and lines known as hieroglyphs. Each symbol is more than a word. It is a picture of meaning. An idea turned to art. They copy the prayers of the day, poems of the gods, records of harvests and offerings. The rustle of dry papyrus and the scratch of reeds fill the stillness like the flutter of small wings. Through such quiet work, knowledge moves forward, softly, steadily, endlessly. When the sun climbs overhead, its heat presses down gently and the valley slows. Farmers rest beneath tall palms. Mothers and children gather in shaded rooms, pouring cool water over their wrists to ease the warmth. Lunch is simple: flat bread, onions, figs, and fresh fish from the river, grilled over white embers. There is contentment in their stillness, a peace found not in luxury, but in rhythm the Nile gives, and they receive with gratitude. As light begins to soften, boats arrive from villages upstream, their sails rustling. People come together once more in the marketplace. Baskets of grain are weighed carefully. Merchants call out gentle greetings. Spices, perfumes, and newly woven cloth fill the air with color and scent. No one hurries. This is a social hour, a time for stories, bartering, and laughter. Nearby, a musician strums a lute. Like ode, its notes smooth and circular, echoing the rhythm of the river. Children dance, their shadows stretching long and thin in the sun. As dusk returns, families walk home together. The day cools. The air fills once more with the sound of frogs and crickets near the reeds. In courtyards, fires flicker to life. The scent of cooking fills the lanes again. Lentils, bread, herbs, and honey. The stars appear one by one, so bright they seem to hang just above the rooftops. An old story passes from one voice to another, perhaps the tale of Isis and Osiris, or how the lotus came to bloom each dawn. Hands rest, hearts slow, and the people of Egypt settle peacefully beneath their vast, star-lit sky. The hum of the village begins to fade. Only the soft rush of the river remains. It carries laughter, song, and memory. Down, always down, to the waiting sea. Breathe in, breathe out. Everything is calm. Everything flows. The night deepens, and the next chapter of this timeless place awaits quietly beyond the bend in the river, soft and meditative, like drifting down the Nile beneath the first stars. The night air is warm and still. Far above, 1,000 points of light shimmer, and the Nile reflects them, bending each one into a golden thread. Follow that quiet light, and you'll find yourself near the edge of an ancient city. The stone walls are half hidden in shadow, and somewhere within them a bell sounds once, then fades. Before the sun rises, the priests wake. They move through the courtyards without speaking. Each step echoes softly against the flagstones, worn smooth by centuries. They wash their hands and faces with cool water from the river, then light small bowls of oil, until the air fills with a sweet, resinous scent. Frankincense, cedar. Inside the temple, the darkness has shape. Stone columns rise like the trunks of ancient trees, their surfaces painted with scenes of gods and stars. A single beam of dawn slips through the doorway and lands upon the altar, a stripe of living gold across the stillness. This, they believe, is the sun god, Ra, returning from his journey through the night. The priests lift their hands slowly, and the day begins. The Egyptians do not build walls between themselves and the divine. To them, the gods walk beside every farmer, share every meal, stand in the hush of every birth. Isis, the mother, embodies comfort and the patience of love. Osiris, her husband, rules the afterlife with gentle fairness, teaching that death is a doorway, not an ending. Horus, their son, spreads his wings across the sky as the falcon of protection, his sharp eyes guarding the valley. Even Anubis, the jackal god of the tomb, is not feared here. He simply guides, steady and kind, through the dark corridors of forever. When the people pray, their voices are calm, their words measured and respectful. They offer lotus blossoms, bread, and the smoke of oils, not out of fear, but in gratitude. Along the banks of the Nile, temples rise like islands of quiet. At Luxor, columns carve shadows into the evening light. At Karnak, rows upon rows of stone form a forest so vast that footsteps are muffled. And farther south, at Philae, a sanctuary of Isis sits on an island encircled by palms. Boats approach slowly, their sails catching the soft morning wind. Visitors step ashore and remove their sandals, for the stones are considered holy, warmed directly by the sun of the gods. Inside, the air is cool and smells faintly of plaster and lilies. You can almost hear the echo of chants, a rhythm meant to match the river's flow. Each word, drawn out and low, seems designed to soothe even time itself. The sacred year moves gently through its cycle, marked by celebrations that feel more like songs than ceremonies. When the flood waters begin to rise, the people gather at the temple to honor Hapi, the spirit of the Nile. They float small lamps upon the current, tiny flames drifting into darkness. A vision of gratitude and trust. Later comes the feast of Opet, when statues of Amun, Mut, and Khonsu are carried downriver from Karnak to Luxor. Drums echo over the water. Women scatter flowers from balconies. Children shout with joy. It is not a loud joy, but a steady hum of belonging, a reminder that every grain of sand, every drop of water is part of something infinitely greater. Not far from the temple courts, the scribes keep their own kind of worship. By lamplight, they copy stories onto thin sheets of papyrus, words for the living, spells for the spirits, records for eternity. Some nights they climb the temple roof, scrolls tucked beneath their arms, to watch the movement of the stars. They note the slow rise of Sirius, whose appearance in the dawn sky foretells the coming flood. The universe, they believe, is a pattern woven by divine hands. To read it carefully is to approach the gods themselves. As dusk returns, the last prayers fade into quiet humming. The priests close the great doors of cedar. Outside, the people linger. A woman kneels, placing a small basket of bread beside the steps. A fisherman pours a few drops of wine into the river to thank the water for its gifts. Children fall asleep on their mother's shoulders as the stars begin to bloom once more. The mountains across the river glow purple, then grey, then disappear into night. The flames from the temple lamps flicker upon the surface of the water, and for a moment the whole world seems to breathe in unison. Rest here. Feel the hush that follows prayer, the sense of peace that comes from rhythm, from faith, without fear. The gods are quiet now. The river is quiet. You are quiet. And the story of this land flows onward beneath a sky of endless light. We're stepping into the calm grandeur of the pharaohs, The air grows dry and bright again. You can feel the still warmth of the desert against your skin and hear only wind moving across endless sand. Far ahead, shapes rise on the horizon, smooth, vast, silent. They are not mountains. They are the pyramids of Egypt, born from patient hands and quiet faith. At the heart of Egypt's order stands the pharaoh. To his people, he is not simply a ruler, he is a bridge between earth and the divine. He wears the double crown, white for the south, red for the north, symbol of a land joined in harmony. Yet even as he sits upon a throne of gold, he too bows to the gods, offering incense before the image of Ra each sunrise. When the river swells, he thanks the spirit of Hapi. When the harvest comes, he leads the people in festivals of gratitude. To rule for him is to maintain balance. Ma'at, the sacred order of truth, justice, and cosmic calm. His task is not domination, but preservation. And in that quiet duty, the pharaoh becomes part of the same rhythm that moves the sun, the seasons, and the river itself. Imagine now the plain at Giza. It is morning, light spills across the plateau in a haze of gold. Tens of thousands of workers move like the tide, not slaves, but laborers and artisans brought together during the flood months, when the fields rest beneath the water. Their laughter rises and falls with the thud of wooden sledges, the creak of ropes, the steady drum that keeps time. Stone by stone, they raise a monument that will outlast the empires to come. Each block is touched by human hands, smoothed, fitted, lifted into place with precision born from patience. At midday, the sun blazes white, but the workers pause beneath palm shelters, sharing bread and onions, cool water drawn from nearby wells. Then when heat softens, they return to the slope of the structure and continue their timeless craft. Around the pyramids, a small community thrives. Here live the stonemasons, the painters, the sculptors who carve images of kings and gods. Within cool workshops shaded by linen awnings, they grind pigments of ochre and malachite, mixing them with gum and water until the colors shine like earth and sky. With fine chisels, they cut hieroglyphs into limestone walls, lines so delicate you can barely hear the tap of the tool. They do not think of themselves as artists, but as servants of memory. To craft a name in stone is to make it live forever. The painters speak softly as they work, each stroke a prayer. That order may endure, that the journey of the soul will be smooth. Beyond the pyramid's base lies a network of passageways, cool and silent, carved deep into the earth. Here, priests prepare everything the pharaoh will need for his long voyage into the next life. Jars of oil, woven linens, small boats in miniature, figurines meant to serve him among the stars. They paint the walls with scenes of peace, green fields, gentle cattle, the river winding through eternity. They speak of the Ka and the Ba, two parts of the soul that must find each other after death, and they trust that under the eye of Osiris, the just will awaken in the field of reeds, a paradise that looks strikingly like the valley they know so well. The pyramid at sunset now. The sun dips low. The vast stones glow amber, each edge rimmed with fire, A single falcon circles high above, its shadow gliding across the ancient surface. No sound but the whisper of wind. No hurry, only eternity, resting upon the earth. As the last light fades, stars bloom over the desert. They shine directly above the pyramid's point, as if heaven leans down to meet it. The builders are gone now. The kings sleep within their catacombs. Yet their silence is full of warmth. A reminder that devotion, carried out slowly and faithfully, can carve meaning into stone itself. The desert cools. The air smells faintly of sand and distance. You lie back, feeling the slow rhythm of your breath, matching the rhythm of time, balance, precision, patience. All the qualities that raised these monuments still linger in the night air, waiting to be remembered. Breathe in deeply. Exhale slowly. Let the vast calm of the pyramids settle through you, like sand returning to stillness after wind. The moon rises above the limestone plateau, silvering the river far below. Another chapter in Egypt's quiet story is about to begin. A journey carried by boats and dreams upon the endless current of the Nile, the sound of slow water, sails breathing in the wind, and life unfolding along the river that never sleeps. Sailing down the Nile. The night has cooled, a thin mist hangs above the surface of the river, turning the air to silver. A wooden boat waits quietly against the bank, its hull narrow and pale, its small square sail stirred by a passing breeze. Step aboard, the deck creaks softly under your feet. You feel the motion, light, soothing. As the current begins to pull, the shore drifts away. The reeds sway like quiet applause, and soon the only sounds are water against wood and the far cry of a heron gliding low across the surface. Everything in Egypt follows the river's pulse. It flows from the far south to the wide delta in the north, carrying with it the wealth of the land: grain, copper, stones, and stories. By day, the sun glows in the linen sail, casting patterns of gold upon the deck. By night, oil lamps flicker at the prow, their flames mirrored in the dark water. Each bend of the river reveals another scene: date palms leaning towards the current, villages wrapped in green, goats grazing on the narrow strip of earth between water and desert. The sailors move gracefully through their small tasks, tying ropes, adjusting the sail, reading the wind with a patience shaped by lifelong practice. No orders are shouted here. The boat listens to the river, and the river leads. Sailing is not only for merchants or nobles. The Nile belongs to everyone. Farmers cross to nearby fields on small skiffs. Fishermen cast woven nets in slow, wide arcs, their shadows rippling across the evening glow. Families drift along for pleasure after the harvest, letting the current carry them, while they sing soft songs of gratitude. Sometimes a group of children laugh from the bank and race the passing boats, until the wind quickens and leaves them behind, their laughter fading into the hum of insects and riverbirds. Each sound becomes part of the music, a lullaby written by water. Now the boat glides toward a riverside town. White walls gleam in the sunlight, and tall poles hold bright banners, that flutter gently. From the docks come the scents of cedar, grain, and lotus oil. Vendors speak in low, melodic voices. A potter displays jars shaped like the curve of the horizon. Another man sells amulets carved from green stone, each one polished until it catches the light like dew. Children chase after stray goats. Mothers barter for herbs and cloth. The slow rhythm of the market hums without haste. You walk through it quietly, taking in the warmth of faces, the mixture of laughter and patience that fills the air. When the sun leans toward the west, you return to the boat and feel the cool breath of twilight begin to touch your skin. Along the river, sacred places rise at intervals, small shrines of sandstone and granite visited by travelers seeking blessings for the road ahead. At one near the town of Edfu, tall walls carry carvings so deep that even now their edges still hold shadows. Pilgrims arrive with jars of flowers. They stand in line, each stepping forward to pour a single cup of water on the ground, an offering to the god Horus, protector of travelers. The sound of the water meeting dust is almost inaudible, yet somehow it feels eternal. As you watch, a young priest lights a handful of incense. The smoke rises in curling threads, joining the pale clouds above the temple roof. For a moment, everything, river, stone, smoke, wind, moves together in absolute harmony. The boat sails again. The sun has slipped behind the western hills where the ancestors rest, and the first stars brighten in the violet sky. A slow song begins among the crew, a melody with no hurry, spoken more than sung. It tells of the crocodile god Sobek, of love found and lost, of safe journeys home. The words flow like the current beneath them, repeating, softening, fading into silence. Oil lamps are lit along the deck. Their glow touches your hands, your face, the edge of the sail above, and drifts across the river's skin in glowing ripples. Beyond that light, the desert lies dark and infinite. Heat still radiates from the sand, but above it spreads the cold brilliance of countless stars. You lie back, watching them glitter in reflection upon the moving water, feeling the gentle sway beneath you. The air smells faintly of tamarisk and smoke, of river plants crushed against the hull. Everything rocks, everything hums. You are floating between earth and sky, between memory and dream hours pass. The boat glides steadily, following the silver path the moon lays down. Somewhere ahead, the delta widens, and villages sleep under blankets of mist. No one speaks now. Oars dip quietly in the water, the sail flutters, and the world feels suspended in a perfect pause. When dawn comes, it creeps softly, a blush of pink over the horizon, a new gift from the sun. God returning once more. You breathe in the cool air, tasting light upon the breeze. For a long moment it feels as though the river is breathing with you. Slow your own breath to match that rhythm. Inhale, exhale. A current, steady and gentle. Let the movement of the Nile carry you toward rest. The shore slips past. The day begins again somewhere far away, and the story of Egypt flows on, quiet as eternity. A reflection of what endures when sand, water, and memory flow together into silence. The boat drifts now through the broad, calm delta. Reeds bend in the wind, herons lift from the shallows and vanish into a wide, bright sky. Far beyond the banks, the desert begins again, endless, golden, unchanged. It is as if the river and the sand are speaking in low voices, telling each other the stories of thousands of years. We are near the end of the journey, but the river never truly ends. It only folds back into itself, whispering the same truth it has told since the first dawn, that all things flow and all things return. The Egyptians understood this rhythm better than most. They saw the world as a circle, birth into death, death into new life, the sun descending and rising again each morning. To them, time was not a line to be walked, but a wheel that turns forever. The plough that breaks the soil today feeds the child who will one day tend the same field. The seed that falls now will bloom again when the flood returns. Even the setting of the sun is not an ending, but the simple movement of the world toward rest. Every evening Ra descends, every morning he rises. Endings and beginnings are one. The west bank of the Nile, where the sun disappears, is the land of the departed. There small tombs cluster in quiet valleys. Their entrances face the east so that light may touch them once more each morning. Inside, the air is cool and still. Painted scenes glide along the walls. Fields, music, banquets, boats. Floating among islands of lilies. It is not a kingdom of shadows, but a vision of perfect peace. Families come to visit, bringing bread and water, small bouquets of lotus and blue cornflower. They sit for a while, speaking softly to those who have gone before them. They tell the news of the village, the births of children, the health of the cattle, the year's harvest. To remember, for them, is to keep the soul alive. In the capital cities farther north, scribes, philosophers, and builders gather to keep the old knowledge safe. They record the levels of the floods, the measurements of stars, the stories that shaped their world. They do not see their work as grand. It is quiet labor, done by lamplight. But these words on papyrus will drift down the centuries like the river itself, carrying the message of Egypt to lands and languages yet unborn. As the sun begins to fall again, a cool wind spills over the dunes. It slides through palm leaves, shakes the reeds along the banks, and whispers through the broken temples. The wind wears away edges, polishes the stones, but does not destroy. It preserves through slow care, covering what it loves until the time is right to reveal it again. Perhaps that is why the monuments endure, because the desert itself has chosen to keep them. Listen now, the gentle lap of water against the boat's hull, the hush of distant wind, the single tone of a flute somewhere on the shore. Music has always followed the Nile. It drifts across generations. Love songs, hymns of prayer, lullabies for the children of the flood. Each melody is different, but all carry the same quiet truth, that life, however brief, is part of something vast and tender. darkness settles once more. The sky turns to velvet, and stars appear, first one, then another, until the heavens are full. The boat glides without sound, the water gleams black and silver beneath the moon. On both sides of the river, tiny fires burn outside the huts of sleeping villages, like scattered pieces of the Milky Way fallen to earth. You close your eyes, and for a heartbeat you can still feel the slow rise and fall of the boat, the scent of the river, the cool breath of night. Civilizations pass, stone crumbles. Names fade, but gentleness, craft, and wonder survive. The Egyptians believed that to speak a name was to make it live again. So tonight, in the quiet between waking and sleep, you have spoken the name of an entire world, a world of light and balance, of devotion and patience, of a people who listened closely to the rhythm of nature. And as long as someone listens, Egypt endures. Now the boat drifts to stillness. The water barely moves. Somewhere beyond the bend lies the open sea, and beyond that, the horizon where Earth meets eternity. Breathe slowly. You are safe. You are floating within the oldest story ever told. The story of life sustained by water, of time shaped into stone, of hearts that learn to find peace in the turning of the sun. Let that thought rest with you, and let the long history of the Nile become the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Inhale, exhale, peace, stillness, forever. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this journey, you can join me again soon. For now, close your eyes, release the day, and let the whispers of history guide you gently into dreams. Good night, and sleep well.